What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Ango, and today we have some pretty big wrestling news surrounding AEW, WWE, and of course Impact Wrestling. I'm going to have the timestamps in the description down below. These are definitely some big stories, and I'm going to drop some very hot analysis on this one. I want to kick things off with Dirty Dango. You may have seen him on Impact Wrestling. Well, guys, the news is officially out. He has signed with Impact Wrestling. He's another former WWE superstar who joins other released WWE superstars in Impact. Obviously, Heath Slater went to Impact. We saw Eric Young go to Impact. Well, obviously, he was with TNA before, went to WWE, went to Impact. Steve Maclin, also known as Steve Cutler in WWE. A lot of people that got released from WWE ultimately went to Impact Wrestling. And, you know, I praise Impact Wrestling a lot, aside from the fact that their presentation is still just not really that good. They have good storylines. They have good wrestling. They have a lot of good things happening on their show. And I actually like this signing of Dirty Dango going to Impact Wrestling and working there. You know, I feel like Dirty Dango is an interesting name, but Fandango himself was a hell of a talent. And, you know, when I look at Impact Wrestling and some of the things that they've done in the last few years, they haven't really made massive signings. Sure, they have had people like Jay White show up thanks to, you know, the Forbidden Door being open and a great relationship between them and New Japan. But in terms of key signings, a lot of their talent are relatively popular indie wrestlers, relatively unknown indie wrestlers, or released WWE superstars who were, you know, maybe considerably underutilized. So I think this is actually a key signing. I think it's a key signing. I think it's a good signing. I don't know exactly what kind of plans they have with Fandango in the company, but I do think this is going to be a good thing for Impact Wrestling in the long run. And you know, here's the thing. There was a lot of rumors that Dirty Dango could be retiring from wrestling and stuff, so it looks like his wrestling career will still be going forward with Impact. I'm intrigued to see what happens. I don't know if I have a lot of expectations here, but I am excited that we do get to see him on TV. I want to talk about Vince McMahon. Well, guys, the WWE reportedly has some more drama coming their way because another law firm is investigating WWE on behalf of shareholders. The number of law firms investigating have obviously gone up. It continues to increase. And this is a very interesting thing because right now the WWE product is hot, but Vince McMahon surely had to just stir things up by returning to the company. Several law firms announced that they were looking into potentially filing lawsuits against Vince McMahon when the hush money scandal first broke out last summer. Braunstein, Gerwitz, and Grossman announced today that they are investigating WWE for violations of the security laws on behalf of the WWE investors. With that being said, the investigation is focused on whether WWE and or the company's officers and directors violated the securities laws or breached their fiduciary duties in connection with the above alleged misconduct. So here's an interesting thing, because this is just the reality of what I'm seeing firsthand with news like this. There's a lot of talk about companies and people having issues with WWE, potentially filling out lawsuits. Some reports are out there that companies are filling out lawsuits. I know the Detroit Police and Fire Department was something that I saw on local news about a week or two ago. You know, once Vince McMahon's return was announced, there is a lot of people unhappy about Vince McMahon's return. And the only thing is, and this is kind of like a red flag that I've kind of noticed, is that these things are happening, these things are being reported, these things are being said, but I don't really see a follow-up to any of it here. Like, is there really any strength here in these potential lawsuits? Is there anything that is relatively strong to the point where WWE will be impacted by that? And I think that's a really good question to ask because we see these reports, but then we don't see any updates in regards to these reports. It kind of makes it difficult to follow along and seeing what's actually going to transpire over time. I also want to point out, too, with Vince McMahon being back in the company, he's working regular hours, he's at the office, he's not involved in creative meetings, he's not at the shows, you know, what is really happening here? Obviously, WWE kept using the terminology alternative strategies, right? And obviously, there's so many rumors about the sale, and then obviously you have the Saudi Arabia investment fund who is rumored to buy WWE. You have so many different things being said here, but literally, it's like being said, and then there's nothing that follows through. And I just don't know if Vince McMahon and WWE are going to be impacted by this type of stuff or not. At first, I thought they would because it seemed pretty strong, but as time goes on, it's just like, again, I see these reports and nothing really comes out of it. With that being said, though, it's not a good look for WWE to be involved in these types of headlines. And I know it's not Triple H directly, but also at the same time too, while it's not Triple H and Nick Khan, a lot of this stuff is because of the recent Vince McMahon stuff that's kind of transpired as of late. WWE, the company, is still impacted by it. So I'm not sure, I'm not sure what to expect here, but I don't know if it's a good idea for Vince to be back. In fact, I've been pretty much saying I want him away from WWE. WWE as a company has been so much better. WWE as far as creative has been so much better. Vince is really just there to sell the company. Obviously sales aren't going to happen overnight, but why go through all of this to get through that? Obviously the real answer to that would be money, because Vince McMahon would get paid a lot. WWE would sell for a lot. But in general, it's really annoying that this is even stuff that's being talked about. And our final story of the day is Kota Ibushi. Now, if you guys watch Ango in the morning, I went live this morning because Kota Ibushi was, in fact, done with NJPW. And I kind of talked about it on live stream. Kota Ibushi had his own statement. NJPW had a statement. His contract expired, and that's kind of what we were talking about. Kota Ibushi also had an interview where he said that he would like to talk to AEW specifically once he is done opening up his own wrestling school. Great. However, this is where things get really interesting because Tony Khan was on Busted Open Radio today. So this news actually came out after the live stream. But Dave LaGreca asked Tony Khan how hard he looks at certain free agents when considering on who he should sign. And LaGreca mentioned Kota Ibushi as an example. Tony Khan then said there's a lot of great free agents in the world of pro wrestling, but certainly Kota Ibushi is a great talent. When you have a name like that, everybody in the world of pro wrestling would be very fortunate to have in their promotion. I really want to work with him in the past, so I think that's something we definitely have to consider. Now, Tony Khan signing Kota Ibushi, I even said this on my live stream, I think it would make more sense for Kota Ibushi to be in AEW than WWE. Just the way that he has ties to Kenny Omega and the storytelling and everything that could be done there with the Golden Lovers, I think it would make a lot of sense. However, with Tony Khan coming out and speaking on potentially signing Kota Ibushi, if I am a wrestler on AEW's roster, how do I feel about that? On one hand, I'd probably be excited because I get to work with somebody so great. But also at the same time, too, we're just seeing so many signings and still not a lot of people are being used on TV. And whether you love or hate AEW, this is not an opinion. My opinion is that it is wrong to not utilize the talent that they have. But it is a fact when I say AEW has a lot of talent on their roster not being used. This is not a place of hatred. This is not even really just anything other than a criticism. And I think Tony Khan knows this. So while I love the idea of signing some more names, we're seeing this across WWE and AEW as well. You can't just sign people and bring people and do nothing with them, okay? That is the point that I'm trying to make. So Tony Khan and AEW signing this top free agent makes a lot of sense, but also at the same time, too, how many more of these free agents that make a ton of sense, how many more of them are going to come in, and how many people that used to make sense months ago, what are you going to do with those guys? Because for a point in time, they made sense, but for some reason, they're not on TV. And I think that's the criticism. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. Peace.